Hey, welcome to Keight Krafts. I'm Kate. Today I would like to share with you a birthday card. Let's get started. So to kick things off, we are going to be working with Pinkfresh Studio's stained glass stencil. And this, my friends, is a lovely layering stencil. It comes in a three-part, and you have the windows here, then you have one for the bigger diamonds, and then you have a bit for the smaller diamonds. So you could really get creative with your coloring. Now I'm going in with some Kitch Flamingo, and then I'll be creating a bit of a gradient with some of the picked raspberry, and then I'll finish off the two different colored diamonds with Dusty Concord and Villanous Potion. Now the fun part about the Pinkfresh Studio is that some of their products come in like groups. So you have the trio of stencils for the stained glass, and I'm also going to be using the stained glass die. So wherever the stencil is covering, that is going to be part of the die. And it just, you get a few of them layered together and it just looks absolutely stunning. And these are one of those products that I really like, that you could just put them all together and you create a lovely background, and all you need to do is add a simple sentiment. And I'm really starting to appreciate those types of cards, especially after spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours coloring and putting little critters together. Sometimes you just need a little break from the little critters, and you just need to create something quick and easy. Now, the fun thing about this is that it also comes with a hot foil plate, which I do believe I have in my stash. However, I'm not very versed when it comes to doing hot foil. I know I struggle, as many of you do, when it comes to having the right amount of shims in there, getting the right amount of pressure for an even transfer of the foil. I think the outcome of it when you get it right is very pretty. I just struggle with it, so I'm kind of a little intimidated. Therefore, I don't really do a whole lot of hot foiling. And if I do, it's kind of like I'm going to take a night and I'm just going to hot foil a bunch of stuff. Whether or not I use it, it just ends up in my stash. So usually if I'm using hot foil, it's something that I hot foiled a while ago and just getting around to using it, because I don't know. There's something about hot foiling that I can't master. Now, I've heard that you could use laminators and toner sheets to transfer foil, and there is the Heidi Swap Mink, I think it is. I know my friend with Love by Amy, I believe she has one and she absolutely loves it. I've never played with a laminator, even though I was gifted one a long time ago. My mom gave me one, she was getting rid of it. I think she got like a cheap one for a project, used it for a project, and then just never used it again. And I guess you could do a lot of things with laminators, so I'm told by one of my teacher friends. Those things are like gold. I don't know. I'll get around to using it at some point. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling here. So we're got the Dusty Concord here with the bigger square, or the bigger diamonds, and then once I'm satisfied with the payoff of pigment onto my stencil, we're going to move on to the last little bit of the stencil. So here we have got a smaller little blending brush, and I'm just going in with that Villainous Potion. I thought this was going to be very nice. If I recall, I was probably talking to Inky and Scrappy while doing this one, and I believe she was the one that suggested the Dusty Concord compared with the Villainous Potion. So, if I do recall, I thank you, Inky and Scrappy, because this really turned out very nice. This card was actually commissioned by a friend of mine. Well, new friend, I should say. He was wanting a card for a dear friend of his and asked if I could pull something together so he could give it to her. And from what I understand, she thought the card was absolutely stunning, absolutely loved it, very happy. That made me happy. Everybody's happy. And from what I'm told, she had a very happy birthday. I've never met the lady, so as long as I could spread a little bit of happiness with my creations and they just don't collect dust in the market pile, I'm quite happy. So with that being said, again, we are just going around the stencil and adding little bits of dots where all of the lines connect. This is a very tedious work, but you gotta be quick because you start having the glue dry, and if you let it sit too long, then it loses its tackiness. So I'm going rather fast, or as fast as I possibly can with this, so you'll kind of have to bear with me here. So we're coming into the home stretch. We've made it this far. We're 5 minutes into the video. We're halfway there. So very carefully with my tweezers, I'm going to pick that up as best as I can, trying not to touch all the glue. Grab my tweezers again. We're going to flip that around, and I'm going to very carefully hold this together, and we're going to layer that onto the spaces that I did not ink blend onto. So this kind of covers up any faux pas, and it just looks really nice. And since I didn't have the coordinating cardstock to this, we're going to make our own. That is the fun part about ink, is that if you don't have a coordinating colored cardstock to go with whatever it is that you're working with, you make it. And since I had this scrap piece of paper, I thought this would be perfect. I would just take a gradient of what I had of the Dusty Concord and the Villanous Potion, and I would create the little bit of a shadow background kind of thing. You'll see in a minute here. I end up using the, I believe it's the Heffy Doodle Happy Birthday Shadow Die. Heffy Doodle is no longer, if you watched my last video. I really love a lot of their products. I'm glad that I was able to scoop them when I did before Leslie closed shop, and I was very pleased to be able to get a couple of more things during her, end of term sale kind of thing before she closed. There are a few places that you could still buy Heffy Doodle stuff. If you go back to my previous video after this one and read the description box, I've got a list of all the places that still carry Heffy Doodle or the remnants of Heffy Doodle as of August 2024. So if you know of anywhere else, I know I've only got a couple of shops that I listed from Europe, UK, and then some in Canada and some in the United States. But, again, if you know anywhere else that might still carry them that I hadn't listed them in, feel free to drop it in the comments below. I know I'll be on the hunt for a couple of choice items that are no longer carried in a lot of places, but I'm quite happy with the little bit of stash that I have. I'm very sad that they closed, but at the same time, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to create with these products and not have totally missed them. So we're taking the happy, we're adding a little bit of glue to the background, giving that a good mash down, and then we're going to take the birthday and we are going to lay that down. Now, I think I fussed with this a couple times before I made this, trying to see, because this is kind of not flimsy, but kind of. You could layer this up a couple of times to make it a little bit sturdier, to give it a little bit more dimension, but I kind of like the way it was. Just not a lot of dimension, because you do got quite a bit, or you do have, sorry, quite a bit of dimension with the stained glass background, and I did not want to detract from that gorgeous background. So I just kind of left it the way it is. So I'm thinking maybe I'll try this, line everything up, and then I think, you know what, no, I'm not going to use that as a stencil. I'm just going to eyeball it. So once I've got that there, I'm going to give everybody a good mash down to make sure everybody's nice and even, and put that little tittle on top. So we're going to add some double stick. We've got some of our tape runner here. I am going to go ahead and add some Barely Arts glue around the edges. That way we don't get any lifting. That's why I like going around with some liquid glue, so I can double stick, get it to stick right away, and then I've got that extra protection of the glue, so that way it stays adhered a little bit longer, or at least that's what I like to think in my own head. So once I've scribbled an adequate amount of glue on the back side of my card, we are going to go ahead and we are going to line all of that up by picking up my cards as such, getting all the edges all ended up like that, and then giving that a really good mash down. And then once we've got that done, we are going to figure out what to do with this. So I'm just going to add a whole bunch of glue to the background and make sure that it sticks to where it needs to be. Now you could put foam tape onto this to give it more of an even surface, but I kind of liked how this turned out anyway. I didn't want too much dimension because, I don't know, it was a really pretty card. I'm really quite pleased with how it turned out, and I thought these little clear flatback rhinestone gems were just the perfect added touch to make this just, I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. I really hope you enjoyed today's project, and as always, thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.